engineer. What's up, everybody? It's your favorite Rebel's favorite nerd, and today we are looking at the Hot Toys Jyn Erso. This is not the deluxe version, this is just the regular version because I didn't need a hat. And this figure's solid. We're going to talk about it, but before we do, we got to talk about accessories. You know it's Hot Toys, so you know it comes with a lot. So what do you say we get started? So she comes with hands, 2 holding hands with open fingers, 2 fist hands. She had 2 relaxed hands in the opening footage, and then 2 trigger finger hands, all of which left and right. She comes with this blaster rifle, which is amazing. So it's all black plastic and then dry brush with a silver. Brings out all the details, tons of sculpted details like the magazine and so forth. And then the stock, which rotates here on a hinge all the way around. And then this comes down and forms up. It's pretty fantastic. I'll tell you, like, I've never had a bad thing to say about Hot Toys accessories. I've had some Hot Toys criticisms, but none of them have been about the accessories. Like, they knock it out of the park and collapses up nicely. And this actually will kind of, I thought that was supposed to, there it is. It kind of clips into the bottom of the rifle as well. And of course, she comes with her blaster, which has a little bit more sentimental value to me now after Cape Cod John and my buddy Adam worked on a replica of one for me. Looks quite nice. We have some silver paint there. We have like, it looks like almost like a copper wash on some of it. And then we have some like burn effects at the barrel. And we have some silver dry brushing throughout. Great sculpt, great materials, and great paint. And she can hold both of those just fine. So then she has the baton. Now, this can hang on her belt. You can take this piece off, plug this piece in, and extend the handle, and she can be holding it as a weapon. And that can be held just fine, but really only by her left hand, not her right. And then she has these 2 things. We have some silver paint on this one and just a silver finish on this one. And these are stored on her coat, and I think she can hold them. So she can hold one in the smaller gripped hand and then the other one in the larger gripped hand. And there they both are in that pocket. I'm guessing you could probably work them into that slip or over on this pocket. That might be sewn. This might be sewn up. Nope, it's not. So you can do whatever you want. And she comes with a big old case of Hope Mac. It's very nicely done as well. We have the white paint here on this side with the tight panel lines inside and then some white accents throughout. On the other side, we have blue paint with white tampo paint on top, the same white tampo on the effects itself with a translucent plastic on the top and bottom on a black cast piece of plastic with 2 of the kind of studs painted silver. Really nice, appropriate, and thoughtful accessory. And then she comes with her Kyber crystal necklace. Once again, one of those nice things. Translucent plastic down here for the bottom and then on a brown string. And there the necklace is on. It's very small, so it's subtle, but you know, theoretically it should be. She comes with her scarf, her hipster scarf, which is nice. It's all like a wrinkly material and stuff, so it fits nicely, and we will take a look at this on her at some point. Maybe now. And I think that actually looks really good, and it doesn't eat up the articulation at all. So I'm good with that. She comes with the typical Hot Toys 2 replacement ball hinges and then these little jewel studs. I'm not sure what these are about, to be honest, but she comes with them, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those. She comes with a display stage, which you can put this on top. It has her face and then like this Death Star stuff here, and then this is actually like a raised kind of texture here for the Rebellion symbol. Some basic down there that probably says Jyn Erso. That can go on here with this going through it. And then it has the classic Hot Toys 2-prong under the crotch kind of deal. And then the nice silver nameplate saying Jyn Erso with the Star Wars and Rebellion symbols. I think they got this one really right. I think the only thing that's slightly off is just how much of her hair is covering her forehead at any given time, but that would obviously fluctuate in real life. I think this is one of the closest ones I have ever seen. I think they really did this one on the money. And I think a lot of it, especially like certain signature things, end up coming through, like the space between her nose and her upper lip and the shape of her upper lip and the kind of shape of her eyes and eyebrows. Like it just really, really, really comes through. So let's talk about the soft goods, and then we'll talk about articulation and sculpt. So what she has is this undershirt here. We have the collar that's sewn down. The stitching is, it looks good on the outside. On the inside, it looks a little disproportionate. That's been one of my criticism of Hot Toys up to this day. The inside stitching that stitches the shirt together, like, and brings it in, like the tailored look, so to speak, works really well. And then we have the jacket over top, which is kind of the same material with the zipper put in, stitch lines around the neck and the base of it, so to speak. And the stitching here doesn't bother me at all either. And then we have the outer coat. This stitching looks slightly larger, I think, than it should, but I don't think it'll bother you on a shelf. We have these little clips and so forth on the jacket. We have this pocket and this little piece here that are sewn in that's to store the accessories, and then same for this side and over on this side, and then the plastic glued in on both sides for like the accents, and then this piece down here with a copper kind of paint on it, and then the red paint added to it. The stitching here to make it look padded looks fantastic. And then we have this stitch work down the arms, all of this like little like almost rubbery material sewn in. Really, really, really well done. The belt looks good. The belt going around the leg and so forth. We have the magnetic clip for the holster. This is all like a green faux leather. And then we have the pants. The pants do get a little cumbersome. I'll try to cinch them up a little bit so I can get the articulation a bit later, but the pants do look a little unnatural. It's mainly around the crotch area. Like it ends up, I think if you bunch them up a bit, it ends up looking a little bit more natural, but it ends up looking a little too, I don't know, a little too flat. The stitch work down the legs looks great. The little belt buckles and stuff around the knees look great, and then that rubbery material here, and then like the little like, I don't know, the little like textured wrinkles or whatever that is on the sides looks fantastic. The little bit of spandex, like not a spandex, but like almost more elastic feel here down the thighs looks great as well. And that's pretty much it for the soft goods. Now let's talk about the figure. We've already talked about the head sculpt. It's beautifully painted and sculpted throughout. It looks fantastic. There's certain angles that like it's almost scary. The hair itself is the flat brown and then dry brush with a bit of lighter brown, but it's very clean. The dry brushing is very clean. The eyes are painted beautifully. The lips are painted beautifully. The texture and subtle shading on the skin is all done perfectly. Something else this figure does that I've kind of been upset that Hot Toys hasn't done in the past is it has a double ball peg from the head into the neck and then another one from the neck into the torso, giving you much more articulation than I'm used to. All the way down to here. Now you could say that's not the cleanest sculpt, but I'm good with that. Whoa, I'm bringing the house down. And all the way up to there. You have the swivel, confused dog look, and I mean, just about everything you would possibly want. It works extremely well. It's easy. Double ball peg neck to head, double ball peg neck to torso. Works every time. What is going on? And then we have, it feels like an abdominal joint in her chest and then another one in her pelvis. So I'm guessing a double in her chest and then a single in her pelvis. Either way, a much greater range of motion than I'm used to seeing. And then you get the swivel. So you get all the way down to there, back to there, the swivel, the sass, all that stuff, it works. Feels like a ball peg coming into the chest, coming out to a disc hinge for the shoulder. Once again, even with the soft goods, you get past 90 degrees. You get all the way down. The soft goods do chew it up a little bit, but you get it up to about 90 degrees. I think that's kind of fine. Double jointed elbow gets you the full range there. And then for the wrist, it looks like, I feel like we have subtle shading on the wrist, and then the ball hinge wrist that swivels at both sides so you can get up, down, and out. It's a little limited because of the sculpt of the wrist to the connection point, but you do have it. Same for the other side. For the stitching and sculpt work, the gloves are beautifully sculpted and painted and shaded, and the fingers are all subtly shaded, including the I was going to say fingernails, but there's no real differentiation in the fingernails, so disregard that. For the hips, I feel like they're ball joints, T-jointed ball joints. It does seem to be some padding in some of it. I wonder if if there was a sculpt issue. You know, this figure took a long time to come out. So you can get the leg. I mean, I'm trying to. Yeah, not much further than this. So not the best. and then up to about there, so that's not the best either. That continues to be an issue. And then you have a double jointed knee that it looks a little low to me, and it looks a little awkward. So that's not the best either. And then what feels like a double ball peg going in from the calf down into the ankle, which doesn't really get you anything but a swivel. No ankle tilt really, and not really an ankle rocker either. That's something that I feel like they really need to work out. It's something to let you put them into a little bit more of a dynamic pose. And let's see what else. The boots are beautifully sculpted and painted with the browns with some silver buckles and gunmetal, or it's like a copper almost, or like a burnt copper. Some nice dry brushing on the shoes and shading throughout. So that's all the sculpt work and paint work is done beautifully per normal. The soft goods work fairly well in the upper body and okay in the lower body. The articulation works perfectly in the upper body and sort of a little lackluster in the lower body. And that's kind of this gal in a nutshell. Size comparison wise, there she is with K2SO. Final thoughts wise, it's kind of the same negatives as usual that I have with Hot Toys, or the same kind of criticisms, but I have to admit, it's less. So the negatives really are the articulation in the feet, and something weird about where the knees are in location to the thigh, and ends up making it look like there's an awkward knee bend. Like, look how low that knee seems, you know? There's just something about the way that they do that ends up looking a little goofy. It might be the scale, it might be the soft goods, I'm not exactly sure. Also, the soft goods end up restricting a lot of the articulation of the legs. It's the same type of thing, but it's less. It's less because the upper body works really well, even with the soft goods, and they really stepped up the head and neck articulation as well. So even with the shortcomings in the lower body that prevent it from having a dynamic pose, it's not really that big of a deal to me, because I kind of have my Hot Toys displayed in detolfs with sort of very little, sense of a dynamic pose anyway. It's all kind of big, stoic, strong poses. So it ultimately works for me. I've kind of come to the realization that Hot Toys are kind of like a statue with limited posability. And this has more posability than I'm actually used to, and more posability that looks relatively natural. So I think this is great. I'm in love with this figure. I think it's fantastic. And this might be the first Hot Toys figure that I'm actually legitimately head over heels for, which makes me think about a couple things. It's finally happened, hasn't it? All those years ago.
Hey man, I think that's Bobby. Bobby? You don't know Bobby? Grown man, plays little dolls.
They're not dolls. They're action figures. I don't play with dolls. I don't play with dolls. They're action figures. They're action figures.
You definitely play with dolls now, sir. Honestly, this one was really worth the wait for me. The sculpt is beautiful, the paint is fantastic, the soft goods work better than ever, the accessories are incredible. I'm really amazed with how well the upper body does. I mean, the lower body is, you're gonna be restricted. You're gonna be restricted to a very kind of stoic pose, but like the upper body is just, it's so on the money. Like, I'm wowed by it. It's a strong recommend for me if you're a Rogue One fan, a 1/6 fan, a Star Wars fan, a Hot Toys fan, whatever you can do to justify it. It's definitely one of my favorite releases, probably easily hands down my favorite release from them that I have bought or looked at personally. It is a step above what I'm used to from this company that tends to be held in a bit of a higher regard than I personally hold them. This makes me want to hold them in that regard. So well done. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Till next time, take care.